the Blockchain Game Alliance. We're super excited to be here today. We got some new members straight from the BGA. We're very excited to meet them. We have Steve Marshall from Tashi Protocol. We have Heloisa Pasos from Drex, and we also have Joss Lawler. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, so I apologize. English isn't really my first language, but anyway, he's from Zuber Lawyer LLP. With that being said, welcome guys to the Blockchain Game Alliance. Super excited to have you here today. So hello Steve, hello Heloisa, and hello Josh. How are you feeling today?
Thanks very much.
All good.
Yes, very good.
All right, awesome. And just a big some so just a few points for you guys. Each of us is going to present some new products. First off on the line we have Trex, followed by Josh, and then Steve. Unfortunately, Shika couldn't make it today. With that being said, first up we have Trex. So hello, Eloisa, how are you? Can
Hi,
you tell us more about yourself, what Trex is, and what do you do basically? Yes.
amazing. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. It's a really pleasure to be here. My name is Eloisa. I'm founder and CEO of Trax. I work with a creative economy since 2012. I work with blockchain games since 2020 when I created the first and biggest community of X Infinity in Brazil. And now we have a Trax to help studios, protocols, the gaming industry with acquisition, engagement, and monetization for the users. Now we work more in the Brazil to help the global companies reach the user base. I don't know if you know, guys, but Brazil have more than 100 million players. It's the mainly market in Latam, and we help these companies work with the Brazilian players.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Eloisa. With that being said, do you have any presentation that you'd like to share with us so we can share us with the folks here?
Yeah. Let me share here.
In case if you're having any problem, guys, just send the PDF over to Telegram or send a Google link here, and then I'll be more than happy to share my screen.
What's your Telegram, actually? I don't...
I just send a message there for the speakers. You can join the live stream here. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So I just sent you my presentation, hopefully. Doesn't look like it went.
Yes, Eloisa. It's also really live. Thank you for waiting. Apologies for that. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Can I start?
Absolutely. Yes, you can start.
Yeah, thank you very much. How I said, Trax, it's a Brazilian fintech that help the gaming industry. Some data about the Brazilian and Latin gaming markets. In Brazil, we have more than 200 million people, and approximately 50% of us consider ourselves games. Brazil is the fifth largest global market for mobile games, moving more than $2.3 billion in revenue. And a really interesting fact, approximately 17% of young people in Brazil investing in crypto. But we know the big market have a huge pants. Global industry invests over than $50 billion in user acquisition and retention, and we have other problems like game studios lose $10 billion per year, and we have a lot of games launched per day in different stores. For example, Apple Store, Google Store, Steam app, The answer of about billions is how to make more money and invest less resources in attention market. For us in Trax, it's generating monetization tools and real engagement for the industry. We work for user acquisitions and retention for global publishers that operation in Brazil, engagement for brands in entertainment, generate long-term value for gamers, and secondary market for esports teams and studios to increase revenue. Basically, we are a cross-media ecosystem to increase the user traction through loyalty programs. Basically, what we do is have a really amazing platform to create missions, engage and monetization users for the publishers, but with the data and tools like season pass for esports teams. The player created the account and in the same instant create a wallet. It's a non-custodial wallet. Um, this single wallet, the player can manage the points, assets, items, and codes, and we can integration with your API, missions about technologies, e-commerce, in-game missions. We reduce in this way the cost of market campaigns and the cost to the base, and we increase the conversion too. Basically, we make money with different ways, with a fixed month, variable per wallet, sponsorship, and programmatic media, and with a fund, season pass, and transaction fees. We have some amazing cases of tracks in Brazil. We work with big protocols, the biggest exchanges in Brazil, some of the biggest kids IP. For example, Turma da Mônica. Turma da Mônica, it's like or Disney in Brazil, more than 28 million subscribers in YouTube. A really huge brand with a different license as toys, stationery, comic books, and we work with the guys for experiences and engagement for Gen Alpha. And we have a really amazing relationship to feature it in leading publications as Valor Economic. In the last 2 years, we received some recognitions like Forbes Under 30, MIT Under 35, and in the last year, Women Tech Global for Women Tech in Web3. This is a little bit about our team. We are now in 15 persons that work in platform. We raising in the last year with amazing investors. We passed a lot of acceleration programs, and we won more than 10 awards in hackathons, competitions, awards, and the most important of that, it's a Visa Everywhere initiative that we won in Latin America, and we are finalists in the global final in Tech Grant Disrupt. We really open to partnerships and help studios protocols to increase the base in Brazil and help BJ grow up in Latin America market.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Very informative. Thank you so much, Aloisa. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see Brazil because it's one of the countries that has a lot of players, not just in Web3 but in Web2 as well. So it's really interesting to see it. Okay, I don't know if we have any questions. But with that being said, if you guys, for the folks watching here right now in this live stream, if you want to check out Trex, I'll be sharing the link right here. You can check it out directly. You can check out their website, or if you want to collaborate with them, that's going to be awesome as well. Be sure to check out trex.com.br for Brazil. So you can check it out if you're interested in partnering up with them. With that being said, thank you very much, Heloisa. So, yeah. Okay, awesome. Next up, we have Josh Lawler from Zuber Lawler LLP. So, welcome, Josh. Welcome to the Blockchain Game Alliance. I'm
Right.
super happy to be here. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, what you do, and what Zuber Lawler is?
Absolutely. Thank you. And yes, it's Zuber Lawler. I am Josh Lawler. I am also a lawyer, but that is a pure coincidence. Zuber Lawler is a law firm. And I'm here really because I love games and have for a long, long time, going back to my Atari 2600. Yeah, thank you for getting the slides up. And it's really the second slide's the only slide that really counts on this, to be honest. So we can just go right to that one. Thank you. So a little bit about me and the firm. We are a law firm. We are one of the few members of the Blockchain Gaming Alliance that is not actually a game company. And we joined the Alliance because over the last 4 years or so, I've consistently run into Blockchain Gaming Alliance members, and Mel in particular, at the various conferences that we go to around the world, and recognized that, we have a lot of clientele that are in the gaming space, and that we can, provide a lot of assistance in general, really pretty much to gaming companies any place. So how does that look? We're a law firm. You don't need to know about the practice of law too much to understand that it's necessary in the gaming space. It's always been a big deal to understand intellectual property law, and most gaming companies get that. In the blockchain gaming space, there's this whole other area of securities and currency controls and all kinds of other issues that don't really belong with gaming as one normally thinks about gaming, but do now, because a token that can get outside of your ecosystem is, for purposes of the world, a convertible virtual currency, and that leads to all kinds of fun things. There's a flip side to this also, though, which is that we can do a lot of really interesting things with blockchain technologies, as everybody on here is, I'm sure, aware. And I view gaming as one of the easiest and most obvious bridges to mainstream adoption. So from that perspective, to the extent that blockchain technology is something that might help with government and politics and voting and really important stuff like that, maybe it all starts with the idea that somebody is able to own their assets on your platform. So if you're like me and you burned a year of your life playing World of Warcraft, I've got 2 level 80 characters that Blizzard owns. They're totally tricked out, and I'm sure that if I owned them myself, they'd be worth a fortune. But they're not, because Blizzard owns them. And when I went and got engaged and got married, silly me, and didn't play with them again, basically gone. What you're looking at on a slide right now is some of our clients, many of whom are known and have tokens that are out in the world. Upland is out in trades. Cornucopias is out in trades. Pixels, Nifty Island are out in trades. Space Nation with the OIK token. And what we do for all of these folks, yes, is helping with the normal gaming law, intellectual property, and whatever else rolls down the line, but really on a global basis, helping them deal with the fact that you've got a token, or possibly more than one token, that represents something of value, and that something of value is going to be regulated often in ways that the world hasn't really quite figured out what the right way to do it is yet. So that's that's kind of the very disorganized way of what got me here. The more organized stuff, the firm is about 20 years old. We are almost all ex-big firm folks. I personally started in mergers and acquisitions and finance at a very large law firm called Skadden Arps. That's a short way of kind of conveying the idea that we really know what we're doing, in case that was a question. We are no longer at the big law firms. We are now at our 25-person boutique law firm, and that is a way of conveying that even though we're not the least expensive firm out there, we're certainly not the most expensive firm out there either. I will not lie to you, your legal cost is going to feel like more than it should be. It does for everybody. It's unfortunate. We're an expense. I get it. The other piece of this, though, is that we do work with a lot of companies that are in their development phase. And we are very good at kind of counseling folks into doing the things that they need to do and recognizing when there's something that's more of a want than a need. We also have done a lot of work across the table from larger protocols. So we've represented companies across from Immutable and doing a deal with Immutable. We've represented companies across from Protocol Labs and across from SWE. So, a lot of the Blockchain Gaming Alliance members, I would imagine, their first major transaction is going to be some kind of a finance transaction, and it's likely to be with somebody who's got some type of a platform that they're trying to put a game onto or multiple games onto. Those are the types of things we can be very helpful with. And then beyond that, we as a firm are very interested in just being good citizens. So, I really open it up to the membership, or for that matter, to any, friends that a member may have who have the question, to reach out and ask the question. There's a lot of stuff that we can handle in literally a 5-minute phone call. So that's encouraged. We are primarily Los Angeles, but we are national in scope. We operate internationally, so wherever you are, we know somebody there. Luisa, I'm talking to you. We work with Brazil, most definitely. And in fact, one of my counsel, Carla Proeja, speaks Portuguese extremely well. And we practice in many different languages with many different people around the world. And I think that's it for my rant. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But that should do it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, Josh. I do have a question about the way that your company works, Super Lawler. Just a quick question. In terms of, because I agree that blockchain, because every project is based on trust. If a project doesn't trust you, then nobody's going to try or test out your product. So I just have a quick question about that. Do you folks at Super Lawler handle stuff like, for example, if someone gets scammed, would you be able to, I don't know, maybe restore those assets for them? Is that part of your scope, or is that something that that you typically handle?
So half the firm litigates. So in some ways, yes, but I also don't want to lie and give anybody false hope. We have a lot of connections with technologists who can track things, and that, goes all the way from chain analysis at the top end, super expensive, lots of money for very big transactions, to some folks who are more, private investigator oriented in their approach. But it doesn't mean I can get US jurisdiction over somebody to sue them and go and get it. The blockchain space is still the blockchain space, and it's definitely much better protected by the ounce of prevention on the front end to try to avoid anybody kind of hacking or scamming or human engineering on the front end. That said, if something is sufficiently meaningful, which is a loose way of translating, there's enough at stake to afford our fees and make it make sense to hire us, yeah, we can absolutely go after things, and we do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, understood. Because a good example would be the recent Bybit hack from a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, people were asking that crypto should be regulated, but also some also expressed their concerns. If crypto is being regulated, then it's not going to be blockchain anymore. It's not going to be decentralized, if that makes sense.
Totally. And that conversation runs the danger of not allowing Steve to speak during his time. So I don't want to get too into it. But, the 30-second take on that is, you don't want a completely deregulated environment. Human nature is such that you're going to have, profiteers and predators in that type of environment. What you want is some type of global regulation that does not equate to global control. And I was actually just in DC for the DC Blockchain Summit. A lot of people thinking about things like that. But anyways, it is a much bigger conversation, and I don't want to steal the floor.
All right, awesome. Yes, just a bit curious, because you don't see a lot of Legal 3 people in the Web3 gaming space. There is like maybe it's an elephant in the room that maybe I'm also interested in asking. But anyways, thank you so much, Josh, for answering all of my questions.
Sure.
It is an interesting topic that of course I want to dig in some more in the future, but we don't want to keep Steve waiting. All right. With that being said, thank you so much, Josh. All right. So next up, last but not the least, we have Josh from Tashi Protocol. Now, as far as I, Tashi Protocol,
have,
is that correct? Or is it? Sorry, is it Tashi
Steve,
Protocol or Tashi GG?
Steve, we have Steve from Tashi Protocol, not Josh.
I'm
Josh.
sorry. Apologies. Yes,
It's
Steve,
all good.
Steve Marshall, yes.
No problem. And yes, it's Tashi Protocol. I'm Steve Marshall. I'm the head of product and project delivery here at Tashi, which basically means that I see everything from innovation through to delivery. So I deal with all aspects of the company, which is great. Firstly, just a big thank you to the Blockchain Gaming Alliance for welcoming us aboard. and allowing us the opportunity to tell you what we do at Tashi. Looking forward to meeting many more of the members and having some very interesting conversations with Josh about the legalities, I'm sure. There's the slide control, found it. So at Tashi, our vision is to empower game developers with the tools and services to make their multiplayer games immortal. We do this by removing the dependency on centralized server architecture and therefore greatly reducing the operational costs and creating a mutually beneficial cyclic economy between us, the players, and their games. It feels like, oh, next slide. There we go. So retain control. Yeah, it feels like I hear every week that another live service or multiplayer game is being pulled by its publisher because of the exorbitant running costs and too few paying players. This ends up leaving loyal players that love the game and have probably supported it since release, no recourse for their time and money. So we've created a deepened network and consensus engine that allows developers to build their games without the need to rely on centralized service. Offloading some of the game logic to game clients, running our consensus engine that is then tuned to support gaming, achieving over 1 million transactions a second, and with finality latency as low as 30 milliseconds. Our consensus engine also provides additional benefits in the form of anti-cheat. We inoculate against a number of state hacks out of the box. A client that changes their local state needs to achieve consensus before it's distributed across the game session. So a player that's changing the client locally won't be able to breach our consensus model, as it requires at least 3 other agents or agents on the network to accept the changes being proposed. And if they don't make sense or are not expected, then they'll just be rejected. So our consent, sorry, I've completely lost where I'm at. Yeah, so I guess I'll just say thanks for the opportunity to introduce Tashi to the members of BGA. We very much look forward to working with you. Ken, our CTO, would be delighted to connect via Telegram if you want to use the QR code and learn more about what we're doing. So that's basically us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Steve. I also have a couple of questions. There was, I did meet someone from the Tashi team just a week ago from the demo day. I think they demonstrated about Tashi. So
Probably
they were
yes.
speaking about reducing server costs, basically, and people are going to be not exactly people, but most of the service providers, especially service providers. Someone commented that how is it that they're going to lose their business knowing that Tash is going to be there? Yeah, that question really didn't get an answer. Basically, they were asking as how would it revolutionize specifically, gaming per se, cloud gaming, if it is cloud gaming, basically.
Well, I mean, essentially, one of the biggest costs when maintaining a multiplayer game that uses server or centralized infrastructure is that infrastructure cost. I have it on an earlier slide. Some of the big names in games, Sony, have shut down 200 of their games because of infrastructure costs. Supercell spend 30% of their top line on servers. So by offloading those costs and embracing a deepened network where that load that would normally be so centralized is now spread across nodes and potentially customers of the game, those costs disappear, they go away. There may be some latent infrastructure required. It depends on the product, but by moving to a peer-to-peer network over a client server network, you stand to save a significant amount of your bottom line. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it actually answers my question, and I think it's an interesting take. There is a couple of, at least personally from my experience, I think I've encountered something like this before. I don't know if I don't know if you folks know this, but like 10 or maybe even 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, there was a game called Ragnarok, but the publishers they closed on the website. So apparently, a few years later, they were selling their own servers where you could set up in your home, and that server you can own it, you can control the price. So I think it functions similarly to Tashi, if I'm not mistaken. So it's basically P2P without
It's
needing.
exactly, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, that makes sense. I think it's a great solution for a modern problem. Of course, it's one way to cut down costs as well, especially if you're living, if you want to connect maybe somewhere far away. Maybe that's also going to be a problem. But with P2P, I think it's going to be streamline the process much easier. So that I think that's why they also commented that service providers are going run out of business because of Tashi, basically. But with that being said,
We'll see. Yes,
Talking about that, we're going to need a lot of space. Steve, if you don't mind, I would have
of course.
plenty of questions also, if that's all right. So, typical DPIN model, do you guys have a native token that you're paying for the compute resource with?
Yes, and the idea is that we provide a cyclic economy in that the players can also, by operating a node, can earn tokens which can then be spent in game, which then can be used by the developer to pay for Tashi services. So it becomes a really nice cycle.
Got it. And is the token also liquid outside of the platform, so available for trading on a DEX or centralized exchange someplace?
We're still we haven't gone public with our token yet. We haven't done the token event, so some of that is still being established. I know we have our tokenomics in place, but they've not been made public yet.
Got it. All right. Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to talk with you guys a little bit more about it. I hit your QR code and sent a message.
Brilliant. Thanks, Josh.
Of course.
all right, thank you very much, Steve. I learned a lot today about Tashi. I think it's a great service. So thank you very much for sharing. And with that being said, I just have one question for Eloisa, if that's okay with you. Can you share us a bit more of some of the key activations that you did? Maybe a few of the case studies you featured using Trex, because I think you mentioned about B2B, if I'm not mistaken, some maybe influencers campaign and stuff like that. We would love to see for those people watching right now at the Blockchain Game Alliance. I mean, they would love to see some of the examples that you have for the companies that you work for, basically.
For sure. I think I can share the screen, but the good news is we changed a little bit here the UI of the platform.
Yes, that's okay. We still have a few minutes left, folks. This is the shortest members presentation we have. Normally, it's around 45 minutes, but since we're missing one member, we're gonna stick it to around 30 minutes, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, either way, happy to stick around and chat also. And there's plenty of questions to ask. It's up to you.
Yeah, we have different models depend of the kind of client. For example, with a True Monica, we work with our platform and Roblox experiences, because the mainly focus is Gen Alpha kits. For the guys, for example, we put missions here, missions that engage in the Roblox experience, daily login, different kinds of missions inside the game. Oh, okay, you play 3 mini games today. Here, let me show you a little more. This is some partners here that have the missions, as I said, is a different kind of missions. We have social medias, social media missions. For example, join the Discord, the Telegram, Instagram, and the other ones. Missions to vote here. It's a really good. For example, if I'm not here because I'm logging, let me log in here. Just 1 minute. But yeah, just up here. Okay, I'm logging now. Here. You have missions about you can choose a different answers. It's like a survive survey, really focusing the data. As I said, here I put it mission, and I can put some different codes here, and with the codes, yeah, it's not invented because it's not the correct word. The followers, the different about other platform, it's our localization. As I say, we want to bring good user base, let them focus different cohorts, different data to you, to bring of the put of the platform. You can sell the different items. You have your wallet with your assets, and the boosts most, for example, for esports teams. We see a huge opportunity with esports teams in Brazil. We have more than 30 different esports organizations with global championships, orgs that work that play a lot competitive games like Rainbow Six, like Counter Strike, Brawl Stars, Clash Royale. Our idea is put more closer this base with good Web3 competitive titles that have a huge fit with different players. But basically, this is what we do with the people. Sometimes outside of the platform, with experiences in Roblox, Fortnite, the sandbox, and use the platform to boost or this experience or these proprietary games.
Okay, I agree 100%. This just came out of my head because I totally agree. Well, when I was still working at a marketing agency, one of the problems was actually finding the right demographics for your service or product. So I think, let's say, for example, if you want more LATAM focused types of gamers, maybe we can try and approach Strex, because of course one thing is getting users, but having specific users from a specific region or specific demographic can be quite difficult. So I think you're already providing that solution for those people finding those specific questions or services. So
Yeah.
I think it's great, especially since you've teamed up with 30 types of esports teams already. Latam is actually very diverse, especially in gaming. They're, I think, one of the largest back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. We also known, I've also personally known Sura. They're also part of BGA Games, but BGA. But before they were a member, I think they were one of the largest Axie guilds or people playing Axie back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, as far as I remember it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Sometimes the people think that it's okay, it's the same strategy, but it's the different kinds of strategy. The kinds that we talk with Brazilian community is different that you talk with Argentina community or Chile or Venezuela or other countries. We need to understand more the base of the region and work better. And we have this knowledge in Brazil about different communities, different influencers, how we can potentialize the campaigns. I see a lot of good games in the past that try an entry in Brazil, and it's not a good campaigns because of that. The guys have a really general view about the region, and yeah, it's a really general campaigns, and yeah, we are really excited to work more with the enterprises and the studios in this year.
I agree, 100%. This based from my experience, I see a lot of people, especially Portuguese. I think they were from Brazil, especially when you're using platforms like Drop. Uh, at this based from my experience, I got a few words from handling so many Portuguese streamers. I kind of learned a few words like "Fadyo galera" or something like that. And maybe they're saying, "Hey guys, I don't speak Portuguese, but I do speak a bit of Spanish." It's kind of similar, but anyways, thank you so much, Aloisa. Totally understood, totally agree. The community does build different. The Russians are also very different in terms of gaming as well. They're a bit more dynamic per se. They go all out. They tend to attend community service, community gaming nights. But I agree, Brazil super good. Latin America, they're very diverse. They're very dynamic, especially in gaming. So thank you so much for answering the question. So as for Steve and Josh, if you have any more questions for each other or for Heloisa, that would be great. But if not, I think we can end the live early. But just let me know.
I think we're good.
Okay, awesome. With that being said, thank you so much, folks, for being here. Super excited to have you on this live stream. At least we got to know more about Tashi, Trex, and of course Zuber Lawler. I think we wrote an article in the BGA mag in the February edition, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not quite sure, but I'll have to check. But it does feature some of the regulations about Web3 gaming, as far
Yep.
as I remember it. Okay. With that being said, guys, feel free to send me any relevant links inside the TG that you want me to put out on the thread. It's going to go out early next week, or maybe this week, even maybe on a Saturday. I'm not quite sure yet. Just let me know, or if you have any questions, just send me a message on Telegram.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. With that
Thanks,
being
Ron.
said, thank you so much, guys, and as always, welcome to the Blockchain Game Alliance. Super,
Thank you very much.
super happy to have you. All right, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers all.